Hey, it's Scott Barrett, and welcome back to the Truth. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. Normally I would have done this yesterday, but things get in the way. We have problems, and here we are hitting it hard on Thursday morning, talking about all things Tuesday night's NXT. I am just organising myself as we go. Like I say, it's been absolutely crazy the last few days. I haven't even had a coffee this morning, but my energy is stronger than ever, and we're going to dive headfirst into this week's wild episode of NXT. Just off the chaos of Deadline, the Performance Center was electric. We witnessed the fallout from one of the most pivotal nights of the year for NXT. New title challenges, rivalries exploded, and if you thought the Iron Survivor Challenge was intense, wait until you see what went down this week. Hopefully you've already seen it, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this review. That would be silly. But maybe you haven't, and maybe you just come here for all the news. So whichever it is, hit that subscribe button. Like, please, means a lot. Comment at the bottom. I would just like quickly to say thank you to Michael for saying thanks for uploading the video. I know I'm late, mate. You didn't have to point it out. But cheers for your comment. I really appreciate it. At least somebody wants me to do the review, right? Rising Stars staking the claim this week. Shocking backstage twists that have got everybody buzzing. Got me buzzing anyway. And the championship opportunities being in left, right, and centre. Some huge matches already lined up for New Year's Evil that's coming in a few weeks. Trust me, the stakes couldn't be higher. And did I mention the main event? The women of NXT. I always say the same thing. NXT's got the strongest women's division in the world. And they absolutely tore the house down again this week in a tag team match. You have to see to believe. So, sit yourself down, smash that like button, and get ready. Because this is the Burning Truth, and this is Scott's NXT review. Are we ready? I suppose the night started with Giulia celebrating the Iron Survivor Challenge win. She won the Iron Survivor. She gets the title shot against Roxanne Perez at New Year's Evil. I am just going to check the detail of that. You know, I'm on my computer, so you know I can Google things. Evil. It's worth knowing. January 7th for New Year's Evil. So if you're in the UK like me, this might be the first PLE that we get on Netflix, which will be really cool, right? So New Year's Evil on the 7th of January, she's going to get a title shot against Roxanne Perez. Cutting a promo, just talking about her intent, and Roxanne interrupted. She called Giulia's win lucky. She said that she'd been dominating the division. And that's when we had Cora Jade enter. So Roxanne and Cora Jade, frenemies, if you like, more friendly nowadays, as they are both villainous characters, but sort of on the same page. And they were both bragging about attacking Stephanie Vaquer, and Cora had a kendo stick, Singapore cane, and started absolutely going to town. Kalani Jordan at this point comes out, boom, makes the save, and that leads to the announcement of that big tag team main event that I talked about later in the night. So then we've got it announced at that point. It's Roxanne and Cora versus Giulia and Kalani Jordan. And I think before we even get there, it was absolutely sensational. So stick around for the review of that. Then first match of the night, my absolute fave for NXT, Javon Evans against Wes Lee. I mean, come on. I mean, if that isn't a match you want to see, I don't know what is. Wes Lee, Javon Evans. Javon, as always, really impressed with his athleticism, countering some of Wes Lee's top moves, and he even kicked out of what he calls the cardiac kick, I think Wes Lee calls it. Evans eventually secured the victory with a breathtaking, twisting, splashy thing from the top rope. Apologies, I don't know the name of the move. I should know. I am going to research for next week. Fans chanting, "This is awesome," during the match, which goes to show their appreciation for it. I'm not a big fan of those sorts of chants, but I mean, if anyone's going to deserve it, Javon Evans and Wes Lee, yeah, great match. And Javon Evans' win really solidifies him as this rising star in NXT. If we're talking about maybe, who is going to be promoted to the main roster next, we're going to have Trick Williams, Ethan Page, look like they are poised to go up, sooner rather than later. NXT is going to need stars, and they're building them here, and Javon Evans is certainly a star for me. And Wes Lee's struggles, I think, also kind of maybe they point to a main roster move for him because he's not having the best time on NXT at the minute. And I don't really buy him as the next NXT champion, if you like. So maybe a move up to the main roster for him is a good idea. I would think about moving Wes Lee up to the main roster and maybe putting him in some sort of team to begin with, just to protect him almost. Protect's probably the wrong word. He's a seasoned, professional and a really good hand. But I think just to help him on his way, I think definitely giving him some sort of tag team. Here's a good idea. Wes Lee and Javon Evans as a team, would fill me with joy. How you get to that, I'm not sure, but I mean, that's not for me to decide, right? So winner of that one, Wes Lee, Javon Evans. Javon wins via pinfall. Good times. So we've already had the women's Iron Survivor out in the ring, and now we've got the men's Iron Survivor Challenge winner. That's Oba Femi, who was the surprise fifth entrant after Eddy Thorpe got attacked backstage. And he declared his intent to dethrone Trick Williams again at New Year's Evil. So 7th of January now, we've got these two huge championship matches for New Year's Evil. Roxanne, Perez and Giulia, and now Trick Williams defending against Oba Femi. I mean, and that sounds incredible, right? Trick welcomed the challenge in this promo, if you like, but he was interrupted then by Eddy Thorpe, who accused Oba Femi of attacking him before Deadline. Trick then agreed to defend the NXT Championship against Eddy Thorpe next week, as he didn't get his opportunity in the Iron Survivor Challenge, and that set up major hurdles for Trick. It's a big match for Trick next week there against Eddy Thorpe, going into that match with Oba Femi. And but good to see at this point, we were thinking, good to see Eddy Thorpe getting his championship match after he got screwed out of the Iron Survivor, really. After this, we had a bit of a nothing tag match, if I'm honest. We got Hank and Tank, which is Hank Walker and Tank Ledger, I think, versus Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igui. I want to say Igui. Anyway, Hank and Tank used the power, teamwork, controlled the match, double splash, earned Hank and Tank the victory. Post-match, Tyreek refused to shake hands with Tyson, who's his partner. So that teased a potential, tension. Are we together? Aren't we together? Are we going to split up? But I mean, we've had enough of this over the last few weeks with DIY, with the New Day. Just if you're going to be together, be together. If you're not, don't be. I aren't investing enough in Tyson and Tyreek to care whether they split up or not. Winners of the match for that one, Hank and Tank via pinfall. And again, like I say, I know they're trying to tell the story there of Tyson and Tyreek, but a bit of a nothing match for me, that one. If it hadn't been on the show, I wouldn't have missed it, is the honest truth. You know what I mean? After that, we got Tony D'Angelo. Now, he'd been backstage earlier on, and he bumped into Ethan Page, and almost, how do I describe this? It was a bit unkind, is what I would tell my sons. But he said, if you want a title shot, I'll give you a title shot against my title. And so Tony D'Angelo then defended his title against Ethan Page in a really physical, competitive match, I would call it. And despite Ethan Page's efforts, Tony again secured the win with a spine buster. And after the match, Ethan Page, was obviously frustrated, and he said that he'd lost his confidence. So possibly hinting at a bit of a character shift for him, and maybe, again, a main roster move. I said before that I think Ethan Page is ready to go up, and whether that's now or in 3 or 4 months after WrestleMania, I think Ethan Page is destined for the main roster. Hey, again, we talked about Wes Lee before. Wes Lee, not really going anywhere in NXT, could do with a tag team to move to the main roster, and I probably feel the same about Ethan Page. He would really benefit from being in some sort of team, moving up to the main roster. I can see Wes Lee and Ethan Page working quite well. Both cocky young men. I can see it. I mean, maybe you can't, but I absolutely can. So Tony D'Angelo, successful defense against Ethan Page, North American Championship. And I'm glad of that, actually, because Tony, since he defeated Femi, he's been quiet. I think he's been quiet, and he needs something to get his teeth into. So a good shame for Tony this week. Like Tony D'Angelo. Yeah. What do we have after that? We had the first of two phenomenal women's tag team matches then. So this one was Fatal Influence against Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. And by Fatal Influence, I mean JC Jane and Jasmine Nix, not the women's North American champion, Fallon Henley, the other two. But saying Fallon Henley, her interference did help JC Jane and Jasmine Nix gain an underhanded victory over Dolan and Paxley. After the match then, fantastically, because they're outnumbered, Fallon Henley, Fatal Influence, there's three of them, and there's only Dolan and Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. Shotzi made an amazing return. Great to see Shotzi, really like her. And she attacked the heels, evening out the odds, and then celebrated alongside Dolan and Paxley in the ring. So I think that makes her come back after, I think she had an ACL injury from my research. Makes it really exciting. She wasn't really doing anything on the main roster. She wasn't going to get any involved in any of the big stories. I mean, they could have used her as a surprise entrance in one of the Intercontinental title, US title tournaments, but I prefer it in this NXT role for now. And I think she'll do wonders for the division in NXT. And I also think it'll do wonders for her. NXT has the best women's division in the world. Hands down. I've been saying it for months now on these reviews, and I've been saying it, but it's started to get recognized by the wider internet wrestling community, and I'm seeing it more and more on X, on Twix, and across other social medias like Blue Sky, etc. And I'm glad people are starting to pick up on it, because NXT women's roster, phenomenal. What came next? The main event, because that was one of two, right? So Fatal Influence won that match by pinfall. You know, a bit underhanded, but that's what happened. The main event, though, the second of the two phenomenal women's tag team matches, and this one was the one that was set up all the way back at the beginning of the show. It was Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade versus Giulia and Kalani Jordan. High energy tag match, showcased the best of this division. Perez hit Kalani Jordan with, I think she calls it pop rocks on the floor, which allowed Jade to capitalize with a double underhook DDT for the win. So Perez and Cora Jade got the win there. Post-match, though, Stephanie Vaquer returned and she attacked Jade, setting up what I'm hoping is another match for New Year's Evil. If not next week, I mean, bring it on whenever for me. But yeah, so the winners of this incredible tag team match, Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. And if you get any time this week to watch any wrestling, go back and watch Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, Giulia, Kalani Jordan. Phenomenal. And it's worth probably pointing out what we've got going on next week. So next week for the NXT review, I should be back here on Wednesday morning. We've got the NXT Championship match, Trick Williams versus Eddy Thorpe. Oh my God, I didn't talk about this. The end of the show showed Eddy Thorpe backstage with the general manager, Ava. And he was saying he knows who attacked him, so he signed the contract. He's got his title match for next week. And then as soon as he signs the contract to dot the cross the T's, dot the I's, Ava says, we're going to find out who attacked you. And he says, I know who attacked me. It was me. And the whole thing had been a ruse so that Eddy Thorpe didn't have to fight four other guys in the Iron Survivor Challenge. He got his title shot without having to go through that 25 minutes of hell. What a moment at the end of the show. So next week now we've got Trick Williams versus Eddy Thorpe, and Eddy Thorpe, the conniving little weasel, is going to get what's coming to him from Trick Williams. Really looking forward to that now. The end of the show just absolutely made that for me, totally. So next week we've got that. We've also got the Tag Team Championships. Nathan Frazier and Axiom, or Fraxium as they're called, they're defending against Gallus. Does anybody else remember a few weeks ago the Tag Team Championships was made such a big deal of, and we were going to have, loads of, we had loads of brawls, and the NXT Tag Team division's going to step up, and it's gone a bit nowhere, hasn't it? So, Yeah, but there you go. From what I'm hearing, it's going to be Fraxium versus Gallus next week. Femi, I imagine, will be in action. And apparently, we're getting Sol Ruka and Zarya, another two huge names from this stacked NXT women's division. And they're going to face Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. So, absolutely loads going on. Really looking forward to that. And that is a wrap for this week's NXT review. Next Tuesday, even more drama. We've got that championship match. It'll escalate on the road to New Year's Evil, no doubt. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can follow us on Twitter at TBT Live UK, also Blue Sky at TBT Live UK, Instagram and Facebook at The Burning Truth. You can catch all our episodes on the YouTube, but you know that because you're here now. So click that subscribe button. Feel free to drop your thoughts or predictions in the comments or on email at info@theburningtruthuk.com. Genuinely, I'd love to hear from you. If you're watching now or you're watching later, I would genuinely love to hear from you. Let's keep the wrestling conversation alive. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week for even more action-packed NXT coverage. Until then, stay hyped, and as always, and as Matt Burns says, the FTBA. Don't forget to be awesome. Excelsior. Thank you very much.